Stop for a moment. Do not scroll. Do not skip this part. Because what I am about to say may hit something in you that has been quiet for a long time. Think of the one person you cannot fully explain. The one who can change your whole mood without even being in the room. The one your mind tries to forget, but your heart keeps finding again. Feel that. Really feel it. Because that pull is not there for no reason. And no, this is not about fantasy. It is not about chasing a dream that has no ground under it. It is about a connection that woke something up in you, something honest, something deep, something that refuses to go back to sleep. Stay with me, because the next few minutes matter. There is a reason this feels bigger than your usual feelings. There is a reason this person touches a place in you that nobody else could reach. And there is also a reason everything around this connection may feel delayed, confusing, intense, or unfinished. But listen carefully. That does not always mean it is wrong. Sometimes it means something important is still being built. Sometimes the most powerful love does not begin with easy peace. Sometimes it begins with pressure, questions, silence, distance, and a strange feeling that life is trying to change you before it gives you what you want. And if that is where you are right now, then breathe. You are not lost. You are not imagining it. But before this connection can become what it was meant to become, something inside you has to happen first. When someone truly matters to you, you feel it in more than your thoughts. You feel it in your body, in your chest, in your sleep, in the way one memory can stay with you all day. It is not always neat. It is not always calm. It can feel warm one minute and painful the next. And that is exactly why it confuses people. They think if something is real, it should be easy from the beginning. They think if two people are meant to come together, there should be no fear, no mixed signals, no hard seasons. But real connection does not just touch the surface. It reaches down into places where old pain has been sitting for years. It wakes up your hope, yes, but it also wakes up your fear. It touches your need to be seen. It touches the parts of you that still wonder if love will stay. So when this person entered your life, they did not just make you feel wanted or excited. They touched old wounds and old dreams at the same time. That is why it feels bigger than a crush, bigger than simple attraction, bigger than passing chemistry. Something in you already knows this connection matters. But what your heart feels and what your life can hold right now may not be at the same level yet. And that gap, that space between deep feeling and clear reality, is where so much of the pain lives. Keep listening, because this is where most people misunderstand the whole story. Very often, one person in this kind of bond has spent years giving too much. They learned to keep love by proving themselves, by being patient, by understanding everyone, by carrying more than their share without complaint. They became the person who stays, the person who waits, the person who tries again. And for a while, that may have looked strong. It may even have looked loving. But underneath it was exhaustion. Underneath it was the quiet belief that love must be earned. At the same time, the other person may carry a different wound. They may have learned that closeness is risky, that being fully open leads to pain, that love asks too much, takes too much, or leaves when you need it most. So when something real appears, they do not always move closer. Sometimes they freeze. Sometimes they go quiet. Sometimes they pull away right when the connection starts to deepen. Not because they do not care, but because they care more than they know how to handle. This is what makes the whole thing so confusing. One person moves toward the connection when afraid. The other moves away when afraid. One reaches, one retreats, one speaks, one goes silent. And on the outside, it can look like one person loves while the other does not. But many times the truth is deeper than that. It is two people reacting to the same fear in opposite ways. Fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, fear of losing control, fear of not being enough. And if you do not understand that, you will read the whole situation the wrong way. The person who chases closeness often feels that distance means danger. Silence feels like loss. Uncertainty feels unbearable. So they try harder. They give more. They explain more. They wait longer. They become more available, more patient, more forgiving, hoping that if they just love well enough, the other person will finally feel safe and stay. But love cannot grow in a space where you keep leaving yourself behind. That is one of the hardest truths to accept. If you must shrink, overthink, and break your own heart just to keep a connection alive, then something important inside you is asking to be healed. And the one who pulls away has their own pain. They may fear being trapped. They may fear disappointing you. They may fear that if they let themselves fully feel this, everything will change and they will not know how to carry it. So they create distance, they delay, they act unsure. Yet that distance does not free them. It often leaves them with guilt, confusion, loneliness, and a constant awareness of what they are missing. Because the truth is, running from vulnerability may protect them for a moment, but it also keeps them from receiving the very love they say they want. This is why these connections can look so messy before they look meaningful. Growth is rarely pretty in the beginning. It often looks like inconsistency. It often looks like emotional overload. It often looks like two people standing at the edge of something real, while both are still learning how not to let fear lead. Now listen closely, because this is the turning point. This is the part most people miss. The shift does not begin when they suddenly say the perfect words. It does not begin when they text first, come back, explain everything, or finally choose clarity. It begins when you stop building your whole life around whether they do. Read that again in your heart. The change starts when you choose yourself. Not in a proud or bitter way, not as a game, not as a trick to make them react, but in a real and quiet way. You stop living like you are waiting to be chosen. You stop measuring your worth by someone else's readiness. You stop reaching from a place of fear. And when that happens, the energy between you changes. Because people can feel when you are coming from need, even if you never say it out loud. They can feel when your love is mixed with panic. They can feel when your heart is asking them to fill a space inside you that only you can fill. But when you begin to stand inside your own life again, something powerful happens. The pressure lifts, the chase ends, the connection gets room to breathe, and for the first time, they are left alone with what they truly feel, without your constant reaching softening the weight of their own silence. Stay with me, because this next part matters even more. Choosing yourself is not the end of love. In many cases, it is the first moment love becomes clean enough to tell the truth. Nothing you felt in this waiting season was wasted. Not one tear, not one night of wondering, not one morning of waking up with that person already on your mind. I know there were times when it felt foolish, times when you questioned your own heart, times when you thought maybe you had given too much meaning to something that was never going to return the same depth. But love does not simply disappear because it has nowhere to go yet. Real feeling changes you, it deepens you, it shows you what matters. Every time you stayed honest with what you felt, you were becoming someone more capable of real love, not less. And those tears you cried were not proof that you were weak. They were proof that your heart refused to lie to itself. In a world where many people shut down the moment things get uncertain, you stayed open. That is not small, that is rare. A lot of people protect themselves by becoming cold, distracted, detached, or hard to reach. They decide feeling deeply is too expensive. They call it strength, but often it is just fear wearing a sharper face. You could have become like that too. You had every reason. But some part of you stayed soft. Some part of you stayed willing to care, and that softness is not the crack in your armor. It is your real strength. Do not miss this. The power to love without becoming bitter is a serious kind of power. It means your heart still knows how to recognize what is sacred, even in the middle of pain. But loving deeply does not mean waiting forever in confusion. It does not mean making a home inside uncertainty. It does not mean standing at the edge of your own life while hoping one day somebody else will finally give you permission to begin. You are not here to build a future around mixed signals. You are not here to keep translating silence into hope while your own needs go unanswered. You are moving toward a love that fits, a love that does not ask you to become smaller, to keep it comfortable, a love that does not leave your nervous system in constant alarm, a love that feels steady, open, safe, alive. And yes, if this person is truly part of that future, then they too will have to grow into that level of honesty and presence, not eventually, in some vague dream, but for real, because deep love is not just about feeling a lot. It is about becoming able to carry what you feel with maturity, steadiness, and truth. So if this connection is real, it will not only ask for patience, it will ask for transformation from both sides. That is why the season you are in right now is so important. It is not empty, it is not pointless. It is revealing what still needs to be healed before the love you want can actually hold. And if you keep listening until the end, I will tell you exactly what that healing looks like in daily life. Because this cannot stay poetic only. It has to become practical. It has to become something you can live. So what do you do now? You turn toward yourself with honesty, not performative healing, not fake moving on, not posting strength while secretly collapsing inside. Real care, real attention, real return. You ask yourself a question you may have ignored for too long. What do I need right now? Not what do they need. Not what can I do to make them understand. Not what will finally pull them closer. What do you need? Maybe you need rest. Maybe you need to eat better, sleep deeper, leave the house, answer the message you never sent to an old friend, start the project you kept delaying, go back to the gym, read again, laugh again, pray again, make money again, create again, feel your own life moving again. Maybe you need to stop checking for signs every hour. Maybe you need to stop replaying the last conversation like it holds the key to your future. Maybe you need to return to the parts of yourself you put on a shelf while focusing on this connection. This is not about pretending you do not care. It is about refusing to let one person become the center of your whole emotional universe. Expand your life again. Fill your days again. Make room for beauty again. Say yes to yourself at least a little more than you have been. Because when you begin to do that, something quiet but powerful changes in you. You stop feeling like an unfinished sentence. You stop feeling like life is paused until they decide something. You begin to feel solid again, and that grounded feeling changes everything about how you show up in the world. People can feel when someone is deeply at home in themselves. It changes your voice, your timing, your energy, the way you walk into a room, the way you handle silence, the way you stop begging life to prove your worth. That kind of grounded presence is magnetic, not because it is trying to attract, but because it is no longer trying to chase. And yes, the person you care about will feel that difference too. More than anyone, they will notice the space where your constant reaching used to be. They will feel the absence of your fear. They will feel that something in you is no longer hanging from their choices. And sometimes that is the moment when their own truth rises to the surface. Not because you manipulated anything, not because you used distance like a trick, but because when your panic leaves the room, reality can finally speak. This is why your healing matters so much. Not because it guarantees one outcome, but because it returns your power to the place it always belonged. If they are meant to meet you fully, they will have to meet someone who is whole enough not to collapse without them. And if they do not, then your wholeness will still save you from spending years in a story that can never become peace. Either way, choosing yourself is not a loss. It is the door back to your own life. And that is why this season, painful as it has been, may turn out to be one of the most important seasons you have ever lived through. I also want to say something about them, because pain can make the mind tell simple stories that are not fully true. They are not always the villain. Distance does not always mean lack of feeling. Silence does not always mean indifference. Sometimes it means someone is carrying fear they do not know how to name. Fear built long before you arrived. Fear shaped by old heartbreak, old homes, old betrayals, old emotional lessons they never chose but still absorbed. Some people learn that love is beautiful. Others learn that love is dangerous. So when something real starts to grow, they do not relax into it. They tense up inside it. They may think about you often and still not know how to move toward you in a healthy way. They may miss you and still stay quiet. They may care deeply and still act conflicted. That does not make the pain they cause disappear. It does not excuse behavior that keeps wounding you, but it does help you see clearly. Their fear is not proof that you are hard to love. Their hesitation is not proof that you are not enough. Their unfinished healing is not a final judgment on your value. And this is crucial, so do not skip it. You cannot do their inner work for them. You cannot love them into readiness. You cannot carry them across a bridge they refuse to walk. Their road is their road. Your work is to keep their fear from becoming the story you tell about yourself. Hold your dignity. Hold your softness. Hold your standards. Let them face their own truth without handing them your entire life in the process. Now imagine something with me. Imagine a morning not far from now. You wake up and the heavy feeling is gone. Not because you stopped caring, not because you forced yourself numb, not because you finally learned how to act like none of this mattered. The weight is gone because what was unsettled has settled, because what was uncertain has become clear, because the love that once lived only in tension finally has a real place to stand. Imagine turning and seeing peace in their face, not confusion, not emotional walls, not 1 foot in and 1 foot out. Peace, the calm look of someone who made a full choice, someone who is present with you, not partly, not carefully, not while holding back half of themselves. Imagine what that would do to your body, to your sleep, to your breath, to your mind. Imagine a love that does not wake you up at 2 in the morning with anxiety. A love that does not make you search every word for hidden meaning. A love where your heart is not constantly preparing for disappointment. Can you feel how different that is? This matters, because too many people call stress chemistry and call confusion passion. But real love brings rest as well as depth. Real love does not erase intensity, but it gives intensity a safe place to land. And the reason I want you to imagine this so clearly is because it reminds you what you are actually moving toward. Not endless waiting, not endless guessing, not an almost, not a maybe that stretches for years. You are moving towards something honest, something chosen, something that lets your whole system breathe. And if that future is going to be strong, then the foundation being built right now has to be strong too. That means both people must stop arriving with open wounds and calling the wound itself love. It means both people must learn the difference between needing rescue and being ready for partnership. It means both people must become more truthful, more steady, more able to stay present when things get real. This is where your current season becomes sacred. Every day you choose not to disappear into worry. You build part of that future. Every day you bring your energy back home instead of spending it all in fear. You lay another stone in the foundation. Every day you let life keep moving through you, even while you still care deeply. You become more ready for the kind of relationship that does not fall apart under pressure. So do not let the middle fool you. The middle of any real transformation is always the hardest part. It is the part where nothing is fully clear yet. The part where your emotions rise and fall. The part where you are tempted to think nothing is happening because you cannot see the final picture. But the middle is not the ending. It is the building phase. And building phases are noisy, uncertain, uncomfortable, and slow. Still, they matter, more than most people realize. Stay with me, because there is one more layer to this that can change how you carry yourself from this day forward. You need boundaries, not because your heart is cold, but because your heart is valuable. You need to stop treating access to you like it should be free, no matter how little clarity is returned. You need to stop calling self-neglect loyalty. You need to stop thinking that if you become even more understanding, more available, more patient, then maybe the confusion will finally turn into commitment. Patience is beautiful, but patience without self-respect becomes suffering. Love is generous, but generosity without limits becomes self-erasure. So if they come near, let them come near truthfully. If they speak, let it be clear. If they want your energy, let them meet the level of care they are asking from you. This does not mean becoming hard. It means becoming honest. It means no longer making excuses for patterns that keep hurting you. It means learning how to stay soft without staying unprotected. And yes, that can feel strange at first, especially if you are used to being the one who always understands, always waits, always gives one more chance. But this is part of your healing too. You are learning that love does not ask you to betray yourself. You are learning that your open heart works best when it is held by strong self-respect. And that lesson alone can change every relationship in your life, not just this one. Because once you truly understand your worth, you stop offering your soul to situations that only know how to borrow it. There may still be hard days. Let us be honest about that. Some mornings you may feel strong, clear, full of peace, and then one memory pulls you right back into longing. Some nights you may hear a song, see a place, remember a message, and suddenly the ache is there again. That does not mean you failed. That does not mean you are back at the beginning. Healing is not a straight line. It moves like waves, sometimes soft, sometimes sharp, sometimes quiet, for days, and then loud all at once. Do not fear that. Do not turn one emotional moment into a story that nothing has changed. You can miss someone and still be growing. You can love someone and still choose yourself. You can hope for something beautiful and still refuse to live in illusion. That balance is maturity. That balance is power. So when the ache returns, do not make it your ruler. Let it pass through. Breathe. Return to your life. Return to your body. Return to your choices. Return to what is in front of you. And if this person is truly meant to walk beside you, they will not be lost because you stopped bleeding for the connection every day. What is real does not require your self-destruction to survive. In fact, what is real usually becomes clearer when self-destruction ends. That is why this process matters so much. It is teaching you how to love without abandoning yourself. And once you learn that, you never move through relationships the same way again. So keep going, even if it is slow, even if some parts still feel unresolved. Keep going, because the person you are becoming matters just as much as the love you want. Keep going, because your life is bigger than this one chapter, even if this chapter feels huge right now. Keep going, because every time you choose healing over fear, truth over fantasy, and self-respect over panic, you step closer to the kind of love that can actually stay. You are not late. You are not broken. You are not too much for wanting something deep and real. You are in the middle of a process that is changing you from the inside out, and one day you will look back at this season and understand that it was not empty waiting, it was preparation, it was refinement, it was the place where your heart learned how to remain open without becoming lost. It was the place where your love became wiser. It was the place where your soul stopped begging to be chosen and started living as if it already carried value, and that changes everything. So if you needed a sign to stop doubting your path, let this be it. If you needed a reminder to come back to yourself, let this be it. If you needed permission to believe that something meaningful can still grow from this story, let this be it. But remember the truth that must come first. Before this love can fully arrive, before this connection can become peace, before the future you feel in your heart can take shape in real life, you must return to yourself completely. And when you do, what is truly yours will no longer have to chase you through pain to find you. It will meet you where you finally stand, whole, steady, open, and ready.